Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this live stream at ESC of I, Educational Service Centers of Indiana. I'm very excited to bring to you partners who have partnered with ESC of I to help you with the digital learning grant that was just released by the Indiana Department of Education. These funds obviously will come at a time when that are needed with a focus, and we're very excited to have Laura Close with us here today. Laura is a longtime educator in Indiana, very familiar with the landscape and the needs, and I'm going to turn it over to Laura so she can share how Close Education can support you in your work with the digital learning grant.
Okay, great. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the opportunity to share this with you. And like she said, I've been at this for 25 years in the instructional technology space and worked with many Indiana districts. And just excited about this opportunity to share with you some of the things that maybe we can help support you with this important learning grant. So just 2 seconds on, like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years, but Close Education was established in 2007, and I am a local Indiana certified WBE. And really what we do is, and it was born from having experience in this field, but really where the true education came for me was raising 2 children with dyslexia. And so I've always been about all kids learning and digital learning tools, and they've come a long way. And that's what I really want to do, is kind of guide us through how these tools, where the artificial intelligence exists today, and how these tools can truly help us help all kids. So I know you know this and you have the grant information, but I really am going to focus on how we can partner with you and help, in these areas. So building teacher capacity and learning for high quality blended and online learning. I'm going to talk about that and how that we can actually do that and make your lives easier. I think we're in an environment where we all know we need to make teachers' lives easier and help kids learn, all kids, and fill in some learning gaps. And that's really what we do. So strengthening teacher capacity and learning for universal design for learning, we do that. And we do that in an environment that provides equity. And I'll show you some of that, and implementing strategies to address the academic impact of COVID-19. We really can help in these areas by implementing these technology tools. And we do partner with our districts very closely, and I'll get into that. We do a lot of professional development around these initiatives, and then how to utilize these tools, as it's a true partnership between great teaching and utilizing the best tools out there. And that's really kind of what I've tried to do with Close Education. So these are different companies, and I'm going to walk through and talk to you a little bit about each one of these, and maybe help explore what your needs are and how we can best fit that. So Ascend Math is one that we're going to talk about. We carry that. It's K through Algebra 2. I'm going to talk about News-O-Matic, which is a literacy platform for current events specifically geared towards kids. It's a really fun little program and really important, and we'll get into that. And Mind Play is, like, I thought that was the program that launched me into this, because it's all about teaching reading, and all kids can learn to read. And that's when I started this, and that's what changed my children's lives. And we've been changing the lives of kids since for 15 years, representing that. Schools PLP is an online program. It's a full curriculum, and it's all subject areas. We'll talk about that. And we do have a social emotional program and mental health program. And so that's what we do. And I'm proud to. I apologize that when I uploaded this, some of the font didn't transfer like it looked like. But we're very excited about this partnership with the Educational Service Centers of Indiana. And we have this with the synmask and with News-O-Matic, and we really are able to bring these great tools at discounted pricing, thanks to our partnership with the service centers. So we're excited about that. And we won't spend a lot of time on this, but this is what we know. This is our reality. Kids have been out of the classroom. They're returning with skills that they should, without skills that they should know. And that's it's putting a big strain on everyone. And, the NWEA came out with 4.4 million third or eighth graders have slipped in math and dropped 5 to 10 points in reading. I think that's why this grant is in place. And I'm here to tell you that we can really, truly change this for these kids and do it quickly. And this is basically showing what has happened. But I think why I bring this up is this was the iceberg problem. You've probably seen it. It was brought out in 2019. And what this really is displaying is how gaps accumulate over time, this one's talking about math, but whether we're talking about math, whether we're talking about reading, we all know this little thing is showing basically that, if I'm in the 6th grade and I didn't learn certain gaps, they're cumulative and build on each other, and we're leaving children, below grade level forever if we don't go back and fill those. And it's not easy to identify and to figure out and climb into every child's head. And that's where these tools really can help us help our teachers. And I do want you to know with fidelity, with the synmask and MindPlay, we are seeing 1 to 3 year gains in 20 hours. This is data from a synmask, and I'm going to show you a little bit more of this. But districts we did an analysis of all of our districts that are using Ascend and this year. And even if they could only give us 10 hours, so even you can't do it, only can give you 10 hours, for all the obvious reasons that our people are experiencing, we still got a 0.81 year gain for those kids so far this year. So I want to talk about technology and I threw out the tools that we represent, but really I want to talk about when we're talking about instructional technology, I want to talk about where we are today. I want to address how we can truly help teachers with blended learning. It includes online and offline support materials, as we know. And I know a lot of teachers are working really hard out there to just find what they can find and integrate where you can integrate. And these tools are very sophisticated with artificial intelligence. So I think it's worth spending a bit of our time talking about that. Inherent in these programs is a sophisticated AI. Everything says that, but not everything really does that. And what it allows us to do is quickly identify gaps and continually redirect the learning automatically. We're not relying on our teachers to have to climb in, change my setting, change this child's setting, put me, in this bucket. That's not what this does. It's very sophisticated in the AI, and I really think that learning becomes very efficient. And kids test out of what they don't need, so we're not wasting time. We can easily identify where they are and test out of there. And one thing that's really important, because we now know all kids have gaps. So we need to address those with everybody. High ability learners have gaps. They always have. I've learned that from fellow educators. Like yourselves. So with these tools, what we don't just say Laura, Jimmy, and Allie are all in the low group, so you all go through this path. That's not what happens. It's very diagnostic and in the learning, and I think that's what we should look at. We also should look for things that are instructional. So our teachers have extended teaching of themselves. And that's what these programs do. They actually teach at individual levels, and you have a ton of data to measure how this is going. Another important point is that we are able to reach kids at their optimal learning zone because of the sophistication of the technology, and the teachers are going to know what to do it. And these are also available, some of them more than others, in multiple languages. And I think it's worth talking about how can we make our teachers' lives easier. I listened to the podcast through Keep Indiana Learning on COVID-19 and the status of it, and they were talking about how important it is to truly individualize instruction and just how hard that really can be. And with digital learning tools, it just can elevate everything and make teachers' lives easier. And it allows us to individualize instruction for each student and not just teach to the middle, but it's designed for the edges. It's what we know we've been trying to do for a long time. And finally, the advancements of technology have caught up, and they really can help us individualize instruction so that the teacher's burden is lessened through online instruction. It's not one more thing to do. It's a partnership, and it really allows us to find the gaps, first of all, and fill them in. And these programs are data rich. Teachers are going to have data to do whole group instruction, small group, and individualize where they need it. They're going to have knowledge based on what's happening. And we really, I know it sounds kind of funny because we like to think certain programs are for certain kids, but because of the design of this program, it really does address, universal design. All kids are on the same program. So whether you are high ability, whether you're special needs, whether you are, wherever you fall in whatever population, we have one program. Because of the AI, I will have a different path than you would have, and each kid will have different paths. But because of the AI, it's so easy to build community with these programs and provide equity for all kids. And I know that's so critical and part of what we're all trying to do. So let's look at this, and I'm just going to briefly, in this amount of time, try to show you a little bit about how these things can help, and then and then obviously I'm available to go deeper with any of this. But let's talk about a synmask. This is one of our partner programs with the service centers, and we're super excited about this. And basically, the way Ascend will work is it starts with a screener that will identify the lowest grade level that students have existing gaps. Okay, so that's how this all begins. And then what happens is we don't just say Laura's got gaps in the third grade. Here's your third grade curriculum. It's individualized for each child, and it continually, through a series of pre-assessments, will determine what the learning path looks like. That's what AI does. It also is continuously checking for understanding math concepts, and will redirect the learning if need be for each individual. And it's flexible in nature, and teachers can, if they've just taught an objective and maybe we're all on a different plan, they can intercept the plan and insert certain content if they want as well. And it also is aligned to iLearn, just so there's custom quizzes for that. This is just one little bit of data that basically this is a school up north in Tri Creek, and she's used this for years. And this is a middle school. And basically what she's finding is that their students have grown at least one academic year, and most are reaching 2+ years. And it transfers to NWEA growth. And really with what all of our programs do is transfer to standardized tests, NWEA, and because students are learning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about MindPlay. MindPlay is aligned with the science of reading. And basically what's really important about this, and I didn't say this about the math, but it's true for both of these. There are instructors in the program. Okay, so they're teachers. There's master teachers. In MindPlay, there are speech pathologists and reading specialists. And one thing then in this amount of time that I think I want to get across is that the scope and sequence of MindPlay is very intentional. And there's a planned connection, like Louisa Moat says, it's a planned connection among the components with the phonics and grammar, fluency, vocab, PA. We teach all of that when necessary. And what else MindPlay does to align this to the science of reading that they've done forever is it's very strong in the linguistic processing and language. So we all know that language and the alphabetic principle is so important in getting that solidified. And MindPlay explicitly teaches all of that, whether it's, orthographic processing, phonemes, morphemes, you name it. And they do it in a very structured, planned connection way. This is just a sample of what some of the teachers look like. And I want to share a little bit of this data. And this is Lebanon. Last year, during the pandemic year, they had almost a 2-year gain. Okay. And so this is the kind of data you should be expecting to see when you partner with a tool that's sophisticated. You can see here, I'm not sure you can, but basically I think it says that they started with 74 kids that were exceeding. And by the end of the year, they had 600 kids that were above grade level last year. So anyway, I love data. I've got tons of it, but they basically had some schools that almost had a 3-year gain, and 72% of those kids gained a full year. So, that's during the pandemic year. That's what can be done when we have the right kinds of tools. This is another one of our partners with the CAI, with the Educational Service Centers of Indiana. And News-O-Matic, I love this. It's a daily news literacy platform for practicing nonfiction text. It's got 5 different languages. It's video based as well as article based. It's aligned to, the English, the ELA standards, social studies standards, science standards, and it's a really great program. And we are really excited about bringing this to you all because it's at a very, very reasonable cost. And basically, I just pulled this from yesterday. You could see, how relevant it is. It's read to you. It's video based. It also maps you to different areas. So in Mississippi, they actually adopted this through a social studies initiative. But it's just a great, great resource. And so this is our SEL program, and basically what it does is it focuses, it's a literacy platform as well. So practicing literacy, which we all know is so important, and it's pre-K through 12, and it basically has different components that go from the SEL to the mental health program, and they have professional development for teachers, and they have a really strong family connection. And basically, I've already said this, but it's just a wonderful, it's video based and book based, and it's a wonderful, very engaging program. And then schools PLP is our full curriculum if you're really looking for, either credit recovery, or districts that are, wanting to get rid of textbooks and want full all subject areas in one platform integrating with the LMS. And I've said this in the beginning, and I just want to reiterate that we really do pride ourselves on helping teachers make the most of these tools. We know it's a partnership, and we know that we really believe in these tools, and we know how critical it is that the teachers understand the tools and understand the data and embrace this so we can get these kids up to grade level and beyond and have all kids grow. And we do a lot of data analysis for our districts and showing, the effectiveness and helping them, know that it's working at all levels. So again, I thank you for this opportunity to share with you some of the work that we're doing. And I just appreciate the opportunity to help in any way that we can. So thank you. And I'll turn it back to Christy.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you for that summary. So with the digital learning grant, this obviously your offerings tie very closely with each aspect of the digital learning grant, where you have the opportunity to build teacher capacity and learning for high quality blended and online learning instructional practices and strategies, strengthening teacher capacity. But then really I feel like that third bullet point where they're really digging into where has the learning loss occurred, and identifying those gaps, and then having the solutions to bring students up to where they need to be so that they're back on their path where they should be, despite the pandemic that we just experienced. And so, such a great opportunity, and the fact that you do have the variety. So there's math, and then we're bringing in current events, and then also the actual nonfiction reading portion of it. And as you noted, that couldn't be more up to date when you look at the new Supreme Court nomination that this morning in my newsletters, right?
Right.
Looking at, and we're really fortunate with ESC of I, Educational Service Centers of Indiana. If your school is a member of an educational service center somewhere in the state of Indiana, and there are 9 of them, and almost every school is, you have the opportunity to have special member pricing because Laura and her company were able to come to us and make a partnership so that we could bring you the solution at the very best possible price. And you can connect through your service center website, through our Educational Service Centers of Indiana website, certainly through Keep Indiana Learning. So you're easy to access. And then I see it looks like at Close Education, right? We can get a hold of you that way as well. So
sure.
Thank you so much for your time. And
thank you.
You had so much to share, yet you did a great job, really.
Thank you. I tend to talk fast. I appreciate the opportunity. I hope it all was helpful.
Yes. So thank you for what you're doing to support
Thank you.
teaching and learning in Indiana.
Thank you.